One side effect of the economic boom is that employees are now in a very powerful position. The best staff are now a highly prized asset. So, how can companies fight off the competition and hold on to their top people? Joining us now to tell us how it's done is top author and top management consultant Sharon Jordan-Evans. You're very welcome.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
So your book, Love 'Em or Lose 'Em, Getting Good People to Stay. This is your new book.
Absolutely.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about this then?
Sure. It's first of all, the hottest topic in the U.S. right now is how to hang on to people. And in fact, recently some research showed that it keeps executives awake. It's the #1 problem for top executives in the U.S. And I understand that's true here in Ireland as well.
It's becoming a major problem. Well, you can't build an empire if you don't have people to run it for you.
That's very true. That's very true. So my co-author and colleague Beverly Kay and I did some research. I was actually asked by a company to come help them create a retention strategy for some of their top talent. And as a result, we decided to write a book. And we did it based on the research and based on our learning that basically the buck stops with managers.
So you've got a strategy in place?
Yes, absolutely. Go ahead.
The flippant answer, I suppose, would be, and the glib one would be, well, pay them more. But that's not, in terms of the top 10 things that will keep people happy, that doesn't rate in the top 5, does it?
Yeah, wouldn't be.
That's very true, and it's a surprise for a lot of managers. In fact, if you ask 10 managers sitting in a room what will keep people, 9 of them will say money. And if you think back to your own work experience, and if your viewers think back to their own work experience, they would think, let's see, why did I stay? Money, fair pay matters. And certainly if it's not adequate, if it's not competitive, the antenna go up and people begin to look around and think about what else is out there, what are my options.
You're not getting your worth.
You're not being valued. Yeah. That's one way of showing value. But you also think back to times when you may have left a job. And there are so many other things that may have caused you to leave other than money. So what we found in our research is what people want are, first, a chance to learn and grow. People always are interested in stretching and learning. And secondly, they want meaningful, challenging work, something they can really get into. Thirdly, they want a good boss. And fourthly, they want really talented and interesting people to work with. So we found that those are some of the key reasons people stay, not money.
Would you have to add as a sort of a rider with that, Sharon, that this is all working from a base of a good salary to start with?
Absolutely, that's the foundation. So the organization really needs to take a look at their pay structure, their compensation packages, if you will, and make sure that those are fair and that they are competitive as well.
If bosses don't pay any attention to this, or don't pay enough attention to this, and think, ah, sure, we can, look, you know, I'll get more people. The cost of replacing good people is even more expensive than keeping them in the first place, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so ironic. In fact, I have bosses say, how do I have time to do these things you're suggesting? In the book, Love 'Em or Lose 'Em, we give 26 A to Z strategies for how to hang on to talent. And bosses say, I don't have time to do this. And I always query, well, do you have time then? And do you have the money to replace that individual? Because what we see is that it costs 2 times to 4 times a person's annual salary to replace them.
So you're saying to bosses that you should ask, you find out what their employees want.
Yes.
But I can imagine a lot of employers going, well, if I ask them what they want, you know, they're going to just say, you know, I'm not going to be able to deliver all these things. You know, I'm losing my power if I ask them what they want. I'm the boss. I tell them what they want.
You know, that is the primary fear. It's what keeps a lot of managers from doing what we suggest, and that is to sit you down. So your boss should do this. Sit you down. Got that? And say to you, you are so important to us. You matter so much to the success of our organization, of this show. I want to know what will keep you. And by the way, I'd like to know what would entice you away. Now think about that. If someone asked you that, first you'd feel pretty valued.
Sure.
Wouldn't you? You'd feel, wow.
I'd be flabbergasted.
Most people would be flabbergasted.
I'd be even more flabbergasted if they actually listened.
Well, and that's the
question.
See, that's the other part. But bosses don't ask, because what if you come back and say, well, I'd like a 20% raise? And if I'm the boss, I can't give that, perhaps. I say, be honest, tell them what you can or cannot do, and then ask the question, what else? What else do you want? And I guarantee you there will be at least one thing you answer that your boss can do something about.
Oh, well, we'll have to try that now.
Give that a go.
Sharon Jordan Evans, it's a pleasure to meet you, and you are in town giving some seminars, and I'm sure there's plenty of people out there who'll value your advice. It's a problem that's going to face our economy and going to get worse in the coming years, so maybe we better start dealing with it now. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. It's a pleasure.